gentlemen, welcome, and thank you for joining us for this, the reinstatement of the Black Tower Podcast. Dun, dun, dun. Add some lightning and post right there. Welcome back to the Black Tower Podcast. I am Josh.
And I'm Andrew.
And the Lord Dragon is doing he's doing Lord Dragon things tonight.
Yeah, he's a little preoccupied.
Well, he's got 3 wives. I mean, dude's busy.
Yeah.
Bruh. So, yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. As you know, we are in the middle of a segment as the Great Captains. If you've read the books, you know who the Great Captains are. If you have not read the books, I don't know why you're listening to us. Andrew, would you talk to these people, please?
Ah, yes. If you have not read the entire Wheel of Time series, you should not be listening because you will be spoiled. Or you will have things spoiled for you. Not you will be spoiled. You won't be pampered. Quite the opposite.
I mean, yeah.
You will have your future ruined.
Maybe you are spoiled, but it's not because of us.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's between you and whoever spoiled you, really. I wasn't spoiled as a kid, so.
Right?
I had to work for my Xbox.
Lucky shits.
But yes, in all seriousness, if you have not read the entire Wheel of Time book series, you literally all the way through the end, you are at serious risk of having major plot points and characters and events and miscellaneous other things spoiled for you.
Yes.
If they have not already been by Twitter.
Yes. So the thing is, this is part 4 of the Great Captains. We've got 5 Great Captains, as known by their titles as the 5 Great Captains. And part 4 is Davram, Tkralin, Bashere. And the spoiler warning is especially potent because I think Davram is the one that we have most plot from. I think he's got more plot than any of the other 5 captains.
I think you're right about that.
He's a badass. I mean, as all the 5 captains are. I mean, there's not any like wimpy 5 captains, right? I mean, they're all pretty amazing guys.
Yeah, at least back in the day they were. I'm not gonna lie, Pedro Nile is not impressive to me.
No, he's sunsetting, right?
Yeah.
He's at the end of his greatness. His glory days were behind him.
Oh yeah.
But you know, he still carried the title. You know, that's an interesting side tangent here about the title 5 Great Captains. It seems to be one of those things like being a Heron Mark Blade Master. You know, it's like it has no boundary, has no nation, has no like, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter where you're from. You can rise to the rank of a great captain or a blade master. And it's like, I wonder if there's some kind of rule. It's like, no, I'm sorry, Camelin. You don't get a blade master. Yes, we do. Okay, well, fine. Carrion. Fuck you. You don't get a blade master. And they're like, well, shit. Why don't we get a blade master? It's because five nations already have the 5 great, and you can't have, or not blade master, great captain.
It's like some like conspiracy group like the Illuminati, but they just control the number of great captains.
Yeah.
Like they find a captain, he's getting too big, getting too much, like his reputation is getting too good. That there can only be 5. You've got to kill him or one of the old guys.
Yeah, we got to do this. We got to balance this out somehow. This ain't working This ain't working for me anymore.
That's the whole reason why we lose what? We lose 2 or 3 of the 5. I think we lose 3 of the 5.
I think we lose 3.
Yeah.
Let's see. We lose Padron. We do that. Agelmar survives. He lives the rest of his life in shame, but he does survive.
Ryan dies.
Yes.
Shortly, I think, after Suan. And then, spoiler for this later on in the episode, we lose Bashere.
We do lose Bashere. So yeah, I think you're right. And then
So
Rodell, I think, also
he survived.
survives.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. There, see, we're already like just a couple minutes into this, and already like that's a massive spoiler. Like for real, like Davram Bashere is. You meet him pretty early on in the series. His first appearance is when is his first appearance?
The Fires of Heaven.
Fires
Chapter 56.
Of Heaven. That's right.
I almost said the Fires of Happen, and I was like, what?
Them fires is happening, yo.
Yeah. But he's first mentioned in the Shadow Rising, chapter 13.
Right. But his first appearance, the first time we get to talk to him, which I gotta say, he has one of my favorite intros. He rides in, he shows up, he's like, by the way, boom, I'm Davram Bashere. And everybody's like, oh, shit. Because they put it together pretty quickly that, like, that's Fail's dad. And at this time, Perrin and Fail are, woo, what's up, boy? And and Davram Bashere gets like the ultimate dad moment, right? He gets to interview the prospective son-in-law.
Perrin's all nervous. He's like, I don't know how to talk to this guy. Like, he didn't sanction us getting married, none of that. And I've already fucked his daughter like a million times. Doggy style, of course. High five, Wolf Brothers.
I've done. Well played. Did not see that coming. Now he's like, I did some downright nasty shit. Well, I mean, we did some nasty shit. And here's her dad. Shit. And he's like, he's having a big time. And I love how, like, I think Bashere knows it too. I think he knows how scared Perrin is. So it's like, I love how it talks about him like stroking his sword hilt, like, yeah, you and me are gonna have a conversation, boy. And at that time, Perrin's not like particularly proficient. I think they talk about him, like Lan has taught him a couple of things with his axe. He still has his axe at that time.
Well, I mean, he's been through a fair bit. So by that point, he's been through his initial trial through fire, which all three of the boys went through with Moraine and Lan, their first encounter fighting the Trollocs, which they miraculously survived. And he did manage to, in a blind fury after becoming a wolf brother, to kill 2 children of the light, which, as much shitbags as they are, at least at that point in the series, I would say is still no small feat because they are trained soldiers.
That is true. They're professional soldiers too.
Yeah, and then he, and he's been in several other fights and altercations.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's a lot like Rand. He becomes proficient in his own right.
Right.
Both are kind of forced to become proficient with their weapon.
Yes.
And Perrin has the fortunate reality of having grown up as a blacksmith apprentice. So he's really broad-shouldered, heavily muscled, and it works out really well with the style of weapon that he's using at that point, which of course is just the Half Moon Axe.
Right. And I love that whole story arc. And I love some of my favorite moments in the series is Perrin just working at the forge, just kind of touching his roots. But that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're here to discuss.
Yeah, it is one of those like quintessentially stereotypical, dad and mom meet boyfriend, but boyfriend and their daughter absconded to Vegas and got married over the weekend kind of scenes.
Well, and the thing I think I love about it is, like, as I said, Bashere knows that Perrin is terrified, and for good reason, and but he also knows his daughter, and he knows there was no way she was gonna sit at home and be a well-behaved princess, and so he's like, yeah, I expect this, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna miss the opportunity to give her new man some shit.
Oh yeah. I mean, at the same time, we get to see so we've heard Fael talk a fair number of times about Saldaean culture,
Yes.
but we don't really get to see much of it from her because it's just her. She's young, and it's very easy to just look at her as an angsty kind of child, uh, which she still is a lot, honestly.
Right.
But we finally get to see from Davram, but even more so from Diara Bashir, his wife, how they react to the news and seeing him, and they're just like, "Well, we didn't say it's okay, so this didn't even fucking happen." Zaire or Zarain rather, because they don't call her Fael.
Yes.
They're like, Zarain, you're coming home with us, and
she
Perrin's like, the fuck she
that
is.
name. Yeah.
Oh yeah. She gets mad about that, and Perrin's like, she's fucking going nowhere. This is my wife by the tradition in the two rivers. And Bashir's like, I've conquered cities bigger than. No, she's not. And Perrin's like, fight me, bro. And they finally kind of get to the point where they're like, you know what? He's not terrible. And Fael's is all he can smell is this fantastic scent from Fael. She's so happy and proud, and the only way I can picture that is like if you were able to smell pheromones from somebody that you just turned on, is that's what he's smelling. Fael's like, if my parents weren't here, we'd be going at it. We'd keep going much more, and they're going to see it too.
Yep, and that was the thing, and that was that was some of the more beautiful moments of the story is when Perrin, like, when he's pushed to it, he can be fierce. Like, he can be a bad mamma jamma. And he inadvertently sort of falls into Chaldean culture where he's like, no, this is mine and you will back the fuck off. And they're like, oh, all right. I see you. You're all right. We can dig. We can do this as long as she's not married to some spineless wimp from, backwoods of nowhere.
Yeah. He didn't cave whenever mom and dad showed up.
Exactly. And I like that about Bashir, that he's so, like, he's such a sort of an icon for his culture, which is, unique in the world. But he also sort of, he's fair as well, and he looks at Perrin and he's like, yeah, you're going to do good. Because again, their motivation is not, manipulative or petty or anything like that. Their motivation is, I don't care where my daughter goes. I know she's going to go wherever she wants to go, but I do care if she's with someone who's going to take care of her. And as a result, you kind of get Davram Bashir as dad, and he kind of becomes the dad in this series. And I really love that with that, because even, there's even times where he kind of takes on a bit of a mentor, father figure kind of a thing to Perrin. He does it with Rand. And I think he's the dad figure of the 5 great captains. I think would be a good way to sum him up.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's dad, and Brian is like the calm, collective grandpa that plays chess.
There you go. I like that.
That's pretty much how I imagine it.
And Pedron is the creepy uncle. And Agelmar is the eccentric uncle that nobody's seen or heard from.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, we'll come up with a title for Rodell when we cover him next.
Well, yeah, we'll have to think about it. It's kind of funny. So the whole reason that Bashir, as far as the storyline is concerned, comes out into the active world, which he ultimately would anyway, regardless, is because he is actually, the uncle of Queen Tenobia. Which he is, it might have been fixed in later prints, but initially he was erroneously called her cousin in the Gathering Storm, chapter 22.
Right.
But he's in fact her uncle. And she orders him in 999 New Era to capture, or most likely kill, Mazrim Taim after it's discovered and the world finds out that he escaped from the White Tower.
And he is, and again, if you've read the series, he's a scary dude. He's incredibly powerful. Like, he can channel a lot of Saidin, and
there's so much about him that is uncharacteristic of the other great captains and the other quote unquote stereotypical manly men from the series.
Right.
Is Bashir is not described as having this stocky, tall, muscular, I'll rip you in half physique. He is literally described as short, slender, with gray streaked black hair and tilted dark eyes. He is a skinny, short dude that you can tell has aged by his hair.
Yeah.
And and everybody like Pedro Niel and Brian, everybody, they all have that look of wisdom, but they're all, tall and built, muscular or stocky at least. And Bashir is not.
You know what he reminds me of is that sort of, and I don't know if Saldea, the Saldean people are more of a Chinese, if they have a more of a Chinese feel, but he kind of reminds me of like the old wise Chinese kung fu master type guy, like the old wise Shaolin monk. You know what I mean? He's very frail and small, but people, I guess frail isn't a really good, but he's small. He's not the typical like roided out meathead that you would expect from a professional soldier or something like that. But
I think the Saldeans are very much inspired by Genghis Khan and his
so the Mongols.
Mongolians, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was like having the trouble. I was like, they are not the Khanians. That is definitely not what they're called. The Mongolians, because the Saldeans, they have bold, prominent noses and slightly upturned, almost almond-shaped eyes, which is generally stereotypically characteristic of Asian to Indo-Asian culture. And they are undoubtedly superior to all other nations in their use of light cavalry, and they carry serpentine swords. So
yeah,
you swap
that sounds pretty Mongolian.
Yeah, you swap the swords with bows and arrows, which I believe their light cavalry does use as well.
Yeah,
and Saldean men usually have long mustaches. Even in the Mulan Disney movie, Genghis Khan was shown to have long black mustache,
right,
that kind of thing.
Which, by the way, if we want to get into Mongolian, just a bit of a Mongolian tangent, and I just now thought of this. There's a band called The Who, HU, and if you haven't heard them, wow, those guys are awesome. It's like it's advertised as like Mongolia's version of like heavy metal, but they do the Tuvan throat singing in it as well. And it's really cool. So check that out. Shout out to The Who. So you guys can, do that.
Yeah. I was hoping their page would say like, hey, heavily influenced or inspired by, but
no, it doesn't.
Culture, but it doesn't. But you can infer.
Yeah.
I mean, they are a very large nation in the borderlands.
Right.
Because this is the Saldea is the same area that Nynaeve dumps land before Tamagodden.
Yep. And I don't know, it's just I love their kind of story there, and I love the parallels between our world and their and Randland. It just makes me happy. Yeah. So anyway, Davram Bashere is sent from his home from Saldea to hunt down Mazrim Taim, who was a false dragon captured by the White Tower and escaped. And they know, and he ends up. Where do they actually meet? They meet.
Camelin.
Was it in the Two Rivers? It was in Camelin.
Yeah, they meet in Camelin.
So they meet up with the three, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I know. I'm trying to think of the timeline here, because this is in Fires of Heaven that we'll see him, and I believe by Fires of Heaven is after Morghese has fled the throne, discovering how Lord Jabril was really Raven in disguise. or she doesn't know that, but knowing that he's influencing her to do something, bad shit. So she's like, I gotta leave.
Yeah.
And I believe this is after Rand leads an attack on Camelin to both try to quell another potential civil war that's breaking out, as well as destroy Ravin and secure Camelin for Elaine.
Right.
At this point, he has done this, and he is sitting next to the Lion Throne.
Right. And this is an interesting. His introduction is also very interesting because this is probably the first. Well, this is another example of Davram Bashere as being uncharacteristically one of, probably one of the most unconventional of the five great captains, because he meets Rand and he says, "Hey, we're taking out we're cleaning up in Camelin. We're taking care of business here." And Bashir, through a series of events, Bashir actually defies his orders, swears fealty to Rand, seeing that he's the Dragon Reborn, and even agrees to not kill Mazrim Taim. And it's sort of like an interesting flip, because the whole reason he's in Camelin and not defending the border from Shadowspawn and the Blight is because he's there to capture and or kill Mazrim Taim. And he meets Rand and they say, "Hey, by the way, I'm the Dragon Reborn, and I'm gonna need you to not kill him because I need male channelers. I need help here." And not only does he agree to not kill Mazrim Taim, but he also ends up swearing fealty and pledges his soldiers, his army, to Rand, and says, "Hey, you know what? You're the Dragon Reborn, and there's the old legend in the Borderlands that the Dragon Reborn will break all bonds and reforge new ones." So a lot of the border folk, I guess you could say, view that as, the Lord Dragon has now broken all of our bonds, all of our oaths that we've sworn to protect our homes. Those are broken. Those are done. Those are gone. And now it's time to swear fealty to the dragon. And I think it's the first time that a dragon, someone claiming to be the Dragon Reborn, was as successful as Rand. And of course, we know Rand is, so It makes sense. But Logain, another one of the false dragons, he even says, "Well, hey, I was winning. Why not? Maybe I was. I didn't know." But he didn't have nearly the amount of support, and neither did Taim, who was himself a Borderlands person.
Borderlander.
So no, I really like that. When you're saying he's one of the most uncharacteristic of the five captains, you hit the nail right on the head, because it's like he walked away from Saldea with specific orders, and the second he met Rand, it was just like, "Oh, you know what? Those orders, they suck. I'm gonna do the opposite."
Pretty much, because I think whenever he's talking to Rand and he's swearing fealty to the Dragon Reborn, Rand is like, "Are you sure you want to swear your allegiance to a madman?" And Bashir goes into this small speech about speech.
I like speech.
The small speech about how he once followed a madman, and they're trying to be the best general of his time.
Right.
And Bashir's loyalty to Rand, at least by all accounts that we can tell, is some of the most loyal we see out of anybody in the entire series.
Well, and this is why we have to give such an intense spoiler warning, because he swears fealty to the dragon, and then he's there for the rest of the story. He becomes one of the, main characters, and he's a pit bull. He's like, I may be from Saldea, and my honor is, the most important thing. I didn't violate my honor when I broke my oaths to Saldea. The Dragon Reborn broke those old oaths. When I made my oaths to the Dragon Reborn, I take those just as seriously as the oaths I took to protect my hometown or my home country. And so you see how loyal he is, even at the shakiest of times, when Rand is, when people are pretty scared of Rand and what he's doing and what he's going through and how he's behaving and sort of his erratic nature. Mm-hmm. But Davram Bashere he's always a champion for Rand and the Dragon Reborn. And he's always like, no, you guys don't get it. We need to support the dragon. And if you're not behind him, you're only going to make things that much more difficult. And it's just really an awesome interaction between those two. His loyalty is unparalleled in this story, and I really love it.
Oh yeah.
And then of course, being one of the 5 great captains, he's one of the most accomplished generals in this world, and he's very smart, he's very capable, he knows how to command an army, he knows how to lead an army, he knows how to build an army. And he knows how to make sure that those things are taken care of as they progress towards Tarmon-Gai'don.
Yeah, I mean, we see throughout the rest of the series that Lord Bashere, who in the Saldean military has the rank of Marshal-General, which Fael, I believe, reveals to Perrin shortly before or after they meet his father, or her father, rather. They definitely don't meet his father. Womp, womp, womp.
Hey-yo! He's got jokes.
Yeah. But he's so fiercely loyal that even whenever Rand starts losing his shit, almost literally, he leaves Bashere with Bael, one of the Aiel clan chiefs, in charge of Andor, while Rand himself has to be elsewhere.
Right.
He says, keep everything in order. Here's the laws that you have to maintain until Elaine shows up. Once she shows up, do whatever she says. Maintain the city, help her maintain control. And as soon as she doesn't need you, leave. And that's pretty much what he says. He doesn't say where to go. He's just like, as soon as she says, I don't need you, leave.
You done. You good.
Yeah. But he's so trusted that initially there's only 3 people that know of Rand's original plan to take Ilion. And Bashere is one of the 3.
When they go to take, is it Samael?
Yeah.
Who's currently in charge of Ilion, and when Rand announces his intent to take Ilion, he announces it to 3 people. And one of those people was Davram Bashere. I think, who was the other one? Was it, or who were the other 2, rather? I want to say it was one of the Aiel, but I can't remember.
Ruark? I imagine he would have told Ruark.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who the 3rd might have been.
Who was there in Ilion? Was it, was Perrin was there? That's when he got into all the White Cloak mess.
Yeah, he might have told Perrin, because they faked the whole fight.
Right.
So it might have been just Perrin, Ruark, and Bashere. Which I'm not sure if Ruark was around. I think he was, but I honestly can't remember. I just know that Bashere was one of the 3.
Well, what we're going to have to do is because you're in the middle of your reread.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then once you get to that point, you will have to fill us in. You'll have to let us know.
Yeah, I am close to the end of Crown of Swords. So,
see?
We're getting ready to... Rand just received his his second wound, which is all I'm going to say because that's not the topic of this podcast, this specific episode of the podcast, which would explain why the Lord Dragon is taking a little bit, has not able to make it today. He's still trying to recover from the second wound that he just got. Every time somebody reads that part of Crown of Swords,
God, it hurts.
Daniel just gets another pain in the side of his chest. It feels like I've been stabbed by 1,000 stabs.
Yes. Dude, he's going to be hating life when people are watching the show.
Oof.
I'm just saying.
Jesus. But
so,
but later
Davram
on,
Bashere.
yeah.
So I guess that's his first big. That's his first big moment, right? As a general. So he swears fealty to the Dragon Reborn, and then he kind of pals around with Rand a little bit. Not a lot happens, and then Rand says, "Hey, I've just received word that Samael, the Forsaken, is in charge of Ilion right now, and we need to go over there and we need to liberate Ilion because those people have been, sorely mistreated under the crushing tyranny of one of the Forsaken."
Well,
and
that's how life is,
Right, though? I mean, current political nature notwithstanding. Hey-oh. Anyway, no, but I like how he kind of points that out and said, as they start to find that the Forsaken have been released, the Forsaken are kind of maneuvering into the world, and they start to realize that, hey, these people, we need to deal with this. This isn't something that we can just let slide.
Well, if
or
I
else
remember
we will
correctly,
lose.
It's Moraine that is actually able to discover and relate to Rand that Samael resides in Ilion and rules over Ilion before she has her episode with the Lanfear, I believe.
Yeah,
because that's one of the revelations that she makes while they're still in Tyr. I believe she discovers that and tells Rand things are far worse than I thought. Forsaken are loose and in charge of major cities.
So, full disclosure, it's been a very long time since I've read the books, and when I discuss topics in the books, I'm doing this solely from memory. So I don't know how they learned that Samael was in Ilion, but I do know that, this was a very real concept as it was being written into the stories. They were saying, look, the Forsaken are loose. As we find them, we need to confront them. And that was sort of Rand's mission.
I don't know.
As he
Daniel, I saw you popped in. Do you have any better recollection than myself or Josh?
Yeah. Rand, what did Moraine say to you?
So if I remember correctly, she does actually go ahead and give the information that Samael is one of the Forsaken who is released out of the cage and definitely holding major cities. I don't know if she actually knows exactly where he is. I'm not 100% sure whether she actually does say that he's in Ilion, but she definitely does let Rand know that the Darkhounds, for example, that they encounter in Rhuidean, as well as a few other things, are almost guaranteed Samael's.
So I did find...
I don't know if it's actually her who says that, but at the very least, Rand knows by the time that Samael's messenger arrives in Cairhien that Samael is in Ilion.
Yep, so I did a quick search just to make sure. I can confirm that in the Dragon Reborn, Chapter 43, Moraine does announce that she's discovered that the chosen Samael rules in Ilion.
Yes.
It has something to do with...
Dude, she is like on that.
It has something to do with Moraine and Lan encountering the Darkhound, whose prince Lan found after the fight with the Grey Man and Nydia's Inn.
Right.
And it seems that Moraine either tracked down the Darkhound or was tracked down by it. It says that Lan killed it, and that she inferred from it somehow with the one power that it was sent by Samael.
Which, fits her Aja because blue, I mean, that's kind of their thing, right? Meddling. Like politics, diplomacy, and just general meddling in your beeswax. Like that's what they do. That's how they do.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
I mean, that's just how it is. By the way, Andrew, what I'm gonna need you to do is add some kind of really cool, like, sound effect for when Daniel joined.
Oh, yeah.
So that we can.
I'm just gonna
because
pull part of Bohemian Rhapsody where all you hear is thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening me. And then just Daniel starts talking.
Galileo, Galileo,
Galileo, let me go. Yes.
So I do apologize here just while we're paused for just a moment. I will be sort of hopping on and off, not on the actual recording, but just muting myself once or twice here while we're doing stuff. But I should be on relatively solidly from now until about 7.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
So I do apologize for my lack of presence up till this point, but I am pretty much here as consistently as possible till 7.
My Lord Dragon, you need not apologize. We understand the weight of the world that is upon your shoulders.
Yes. Yes, my now someone else's shoulders.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. So, I forgot where we were. I totally am distracted. I got so
presumably
excited.
We are talking
Dragon
about Lord Bashere.
Yes, that.
So we talked. So to recap, for our listeners as well as you, Lord Dragon, we talked about the reason that Bashere left Saldea initially under the orders of Queen Zenobia to capture and more than likely kill Mazrim Taim. There's more to that whole story with Mazrim Taim that we did not go over that explains more and more of the Saldean hatred for Taim, which I don't know why I forgot about. But we also thought about him arriving in Camelin, swearing fealty to Rand, to you, which I'm sure you remember very fondly, as well as Davram Bashere being the absolute best dad figure. Our dad, great captain, with his whole meeting Perrin and talking about his marriage to Fael. And we had just started talking about him being one of the 3 that knew about Rand's original plans to take Ilion. And that's what brought up the discussion about Samael. And
yeah, do you remember who the other 2 were at that meeting?
The only 2 other people who actually know the plan in Ilion are Matt, obviously.
Nice.
And I believe I mean, I know that Lan also knows the plan, but I don't think he's specifically at that meeting. I cannot recall who else is at that meeting specifically, but you are correct that it's 3 people. Yeah. One of them's Bashere, one of them's Matt, and one of them is someone I can't remember.
You sure the last one then isn't Perrin? Because they have the fake fight, which is supposed to be a cover for Perrin to leave and lead more forces, I thought, towards Ilion.
So Perrin does actually know the plan just a little bit, but he doesn't actually get brought into the entire thing because he refuses to follow it. Plus, he only gets brought into the know, the little bit that he does know, once Matt actually ends up gallivanting off to go get Elaine and Egwene.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Perrin was actually a little miffed because they were like, "We're gonna fake this fight. Perrin's gonna go, and Perrin, I need you to do this." And he's like, "Wait, what else? Like, what else is there? This is only a piece of the plan." And Rand is like, "No, it's too risky. You have to do this, and please just do that, and then don't worry, I'll take care of the rest." No, I think I remember that interaction as being a part of. It's kind of one of those like post, like in Ocean's 13 at the end of the movie where they show you how the heist was done. There's like that post little story where it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we totally faked this fight, and Perrin went over and did this, and I took care of the rest. But yeah,
well, it's actually also kind of funny because Perrin ends up going ahead and not being a part of this thing at all. Like, he is a little bit in terms of the fact that they faked the fight, but like, they don't even tell you that they faked the fight for a while. It's like Fael and Min who figure it out and talk to Perrin about it, but they don't actually like narratively tell you that it was faked. They're just like, all right, we expect you to believe Fael and Min. And that's just all you get. And you're like, okay, I mean, I do, but also like a little more as to why would have been nice.
Right.
I could have sworn that they meant that they talked about it in Rand's next POV after the fight, because he talks about how I know for a fact, because I just read it today in A Crown of Swords, that Rand mentions, he's like, why did Perrin have to choose the Aes Sedai for the topic of our staged fight? Because that made me so mad. I actually did almost lose my temper and kill him. Because he's reminiscing on that a little bit before.
No, and that's
either slightly
where,
before or
like,
slightly after. Min is like, I don't buy your bullshit fight. I see through you, sheep herder.
Yep.
And then he goes into the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And it is Rand that sort of brings it up in his brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it's also a little like, okay, but now you're sort of saying that it wasn't a real fight at the beginning, but by the end it was, because you were so angry because he decided to go ahead and talk about the Aes Sedai that, like, now I'm a little confused as to whether it was a staged fight. Like, it's... I don't know. It throws the whole thing a little bit into chaos, which, again, I mean, like, is totally fine, because you do understand that while Perrin is not the biggest fan of Rand at that point, based on the decisions that he's making and the things that he's asking people to do, they are still in it together, and they did, manufacture this thing, and they're still working with each other.
Right.
But
so,
anywho, Bashere.
Indeed.
Oh,
Bashere.
So we're moving in to the attack on Ilion, the official attack on Ilion. And it was Davram Bashere that came up with the strategy that really gave the larger Shan-Chan forces a huge hassle, a huge headache as they were maneuvering to take Ilion. In fact, it was during the fight with the Shan-Chan when Rand gets struck by one of the Shan-Chan crossbow bolts and is surrounded by the Shan-Chan. It's Bashere who manages to rally his men and push the Shan-Chan forces away and save Rand. Not for the first time, or not for the last time. Also, probably not for the first.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that is actually the moment where he truly saves Rand for the first time in that kind of major way, but he does it like fucking 12 times after that.
I was just going to say, yes, the first time.
The first of
the first of many.
The first of many. We're talking like, a baker's dozen saves, which is cool, which goes back to...
And then, of course, at least once... And at least once where he saves Rand and Rand's entire army, not necessarily even from the Shan-Chan, but from Rand himself, because he's a little off the rails.
Yes. Well, and that's kind of ties into what we were talking about with Bashere being dad. When it comes to the 5 captains, like, he's the most dad of all of them. And they even give him that introduction with Perrin and Fael. He's dad, and he treats Rand like, he's like, okay, I swear fealty to you, but you're a kid, and I'm a great captain, and you're gonna listen to my advice. Now I'm gonna listen to yours as well, and I'm gonna follow your instructions. However, you need to know, and I think that's one of the things that breeds such a great relationship between Rand and Bashere, because Bashere, he's a no nonsense kind of guy. He's like, yeah, I swore fealty to you, and that means I'll follow you, but that doesn't mean I'll let you be a dumbass.
Oh yeah, the whole episode where he saves Rand from not only destroying the entire Shan army, which sounds weird to say saving, but it is a good thing later on. But as well as Rand's own army, is Bashere basically goes, who gave the fucking lunatic the second most powerful Star we know about, and tackles his ass and knocks it out of his hand. Of course, that being Callan.
Well, and I love that he doesn't even just like walk over and say, Rand, stop it. I mean, like he does. He tries that at first. It's certainly not that his first response is to just tackle him.
Yeah, he does. What does he do? He tackles him.
He just like he throws himself body and soul into it.
And then he even, I think what is the quote? He even says, "Stop it, you madman! You'll kill us all," or something along those lines. And that's when Rand like kind of has a wake up moment, like, oh shit, my bad. I'm so sorry, guys.
That wasn't me. That was Patricia.
Right.
And that's when you get your first sort of hint at the flaw in Callandor, because you're kind of like, oh wait, something's not right with this. Yes, it gives you the ability to channel much more, but there's a flaw.
Yeah,
a flaw that is not a flaw.
It's hinted at in every other Angreal and Saw Angreal that we see in the entirety of the series, besides the Cardin Sword. Is they always reference how, well, I tried to pull more through the fat man Buddha statue with the sword in his lap, but I just couldn't. But with Callandor, just like with the Cardin Sword, he could pull and pull and pull and pull and pull.
Yes.
There was no limiter. It's just like a car. What a lot of people are like, well, law enforcement vehicles are so fast because they have souped-up engines. No, it's because they don't have governors in it to restrict the speed.
Exactly.
And that's what Callandor has, no governor to restrict the flow of water. It's just pull what you want. The Callandor is just like, if you die, you die. That's your own fault.
If he dies, he dies.
If he dies.
Hashtag Rocky reference. Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. Love it. Dude, I love it. I love Rocky. Rocky's the best. No, but you're right, though. Like, I think that was like such an apt metaphor when you talk about that, because you're right. Most Angreal and Sangreal have a limiter, a governor, where they're like, nope, that's it. We give you a 5% increase to to your abilities, or if you get a really good one, it's like, plus 15 to channel, and you're like, shit, yeah, let's do this. But Callandor's like, no, you want some more? Here, have some more. You want some more? Here, have some more. Hey, you want some more?
And I even said the cat and sword, but to be fair,
would you like
to be fair,
would you like some more, Saidi? I can give you more.
To be fair, it was the true Saw Angreal that I think there should be another level above Saw Angreal to describe the Cardin Sword. But the physical ones themselves didn't have limiters, but the access keys did. Because obviously Rand melted the shit out of his.
Yes.
So
that was the end.
But
that was after they used.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
That was after they used them both. But the point I'm getting at, trying to keep it relevant to Callandor in this scene, is just try to imagine the complexity of the construction, the manufacture of this Saw Angreal. Someone had to have made this, and they were able to make one that literally just opened a conduit, a floodgate for sighting. That as long as you could drink, you could pull in more, and even when you were drowning, more would still flow until it just overflew you and everything around you got destroyed.
Yes.
So it's literally an unlimited potential Saw Angreal. The stronger the person, the more you can pull. So, theoretically, Rand linked with an entire circle, and once you add female channelers, Aes Sedai, into the circle, and you theoretically have that that unlimited expanding circle, the potential with Callandor that they could potentially pull just as much as, if not more, than they did with the Cotton Sword, because there is no limit on it.
Right. And that's the fun part of it, is that, you know, the flaw ends up being not really a flaw, but more of a specific design, a specific feature. You know what? That's the big joke with software engineers, right? We got a glitch. No, it's a feature.
Oh yeah.
But that seems to be a feature of Kalendor. Like, no, this is whoever built that knew that might come in handy. And when you start, kind of circling it back to the great captains, the 5 great captains, when you're looking at a situation from a tactical perspective, a strategic perspective, what you want is you don't necessarily need specific tools. What you need is to understand perfectly the tools that you have. And if you understand perfectly the tools that you have, you're able to build a strategy that can progress your agenda or your desires to the next step. And Kalendor, that is just one of the best MacGuffins in this story, in the sense that it just really, it's a mystery. You don't understand it. And as they progress throughout the story, it's still just a mystery. Yeah. And then you find out, of course, at the end that, they understood, what it was, they understood what Kalendor was and how to apply that. And that's, again, spoiler alert, spoiler. That's where we get Rand, doing his little body snatcher technique. And that's what allows them to win. He dies and is born again, meets all the prophecies, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But circle back to General that's Marshal-General Bashere.
Point out how important that saving is.
Yes.
And how potentially bad it could have gone, and how Bashere had the battle knowledge, the prowess, the intuition to see. I mean, it wasn't that hard to see that Rand was just like laying waste to everything that he could see.
Yeah.
But Bashere was like, I have to stop this. And he understood enough about what was going on and could figure out enough, which arguably it shouldn't have been that hard for anybody. But half the time in the book series, people just stare at channelers and don't even touch them to try to stop what they're doing. And Bashere's like, fuck that, stop it, and tackles his ass.
Well, and not only that, he recognizes a number of things, right? As to be expected of one of the 5 great captains. He recognizes that, hey, not only are you killing them, but you're killing us. B, you're using something that we don't understand, so you don't know the implications or ramifications of using this item. And 3, sorry, you're a man who can channel. That means at any second, the madness can take you. And when you combine madness, potential madness, with a weapon /item/relic that we don't fully understand, and then you look at the result, and the result is everybody's dying, I think it was the most prudent course of action for Davram Bashere to take. And the fact that he was able to see that in the chaos speaks to how level-headed and how cool-headed and tactile and how amazing he was in under pressure and in those types of situations.
Yeah. Well, and one of the interesting things about that that I love about that particular moment is that you feel like I don't think that Davram actually really knows what's going on with Kalendor at all. I think that he knows that it's dangerous just because Rand could actually be in that moment where he has turned, because there is this story of all male channelers go crazy.
Yeah.
And so regardless of who it is, you have to worry about that, even if it's the Lord Dragon.
Yes.
And everyone is... Well, first of all of the commoners are just terrified of the dragon in general, just because of how powerful he is, and just because of all the stories they've heard, and because he is a channeler, therefore he's going to go insane.
Right.
And everybody who understands the prophecies knows that they are just crossing their fingers as hard as humanly possible to beg the creator to keep the dragon sheltered from madness until the last battle.
Oh yeah, and
but they all know that it's a possibility that he's not going to be. And so when Rand starts killing everything, Bashere is like inches away from killing him.
Yes.
Because he knows that if Rand goes insane before the last battle is more than lost. If Rand is mad at this point, it would be better to go to Tarmangaiden without him.
Yes.
Than to try and use him to beat the Dark One as a madman. Also, just really quick, going back a tiny bit here, for all of our listeners, the Cadensor is actually what the Aiel wear, that are the browns and green, or the browns and what, not clothing that they wear. It's the Choden Call that we were talking about earlier as being the most powerful Sangreal that has the access keys, that they are the ones with the built-in limiters for the actual ter'angreal that they are matched with.
Right. They're unique in the world.
We called it the Cadensor earlier, and I knew that was wrong, but I couldn't remember what it was, so I looked it up. It's the Choden Call that are the one male giant statue with the crystal ball, and the woman doing the exact same
pose.
One in Kyrian and one in Tremonzian. Wow.
I was under compulsion to say it wrong. I was under compulsion to say the Aiel garb instead of the Sangreal.
Damn it, Grendel!
It's okay.
Get out of here!
But I just didn't want to. I wanted to make sure that we addressed that now before we go any further, so that if anybody's listening and they have started looking it up and started writing us a letter that we got it wrong, we are aware that we got it wrong, so we're good.
We totes know what we're talking about, bro. We know. We got knowledge and stuff.
We may not have everything 100% right at the start, but eventually we find our way there.
Well, but that's just another aspect of what makes this book series just that much more amazing.
No, I agree. And I mean, like, the fact that there needs to be a companion with it, if you will, does annoy me a little bit, because there are moments where Robert Jordan is describing people or like talking about names, and there are two people in like the same place who have basically the same name, and you're like, could you not have gone ahead and separated those at least a little? Like, the biggest and worst example of it is Teslin and Tylin, who are both in exactly the same place, and one is the ruler of Abu Dar, and the other is an Aes Sedai in Abu Dar, there to talk to the ruler, who's Tylin. And you're like, who did this? Who approved these names?
The funny thing is so, again, another tangent here. Please bear with us as we tangent for just a little bit longer. Reading Tolkien and Lord of the Rings and growing up and getting confused as hell between Sauron and Sauruman.
Oh, thank God, I'm not the only one.
No, you are not.
Oh yeah, you were. It was everyone. It was every single reader. I tell you what.
And I've read the series. I've read the series numerous times, and it was as an adult when the movies came out before I was finally able to distinctly separate the two. And the reason is because Saruman, the wizard, had his fighting Uruk-hai, and he would say, "Whom do you serve?" And the Uruk-hai would say, "Saruman." And I was like, oh, there it is. Boom. Got it. Done. Wizard has an M. Main bad eye of Barad-dûr does not have an M. And that was it. Like, it took the movie for me to finally be able to distinguish. So I'm hoping that when the TV show comes out, I can put names to faces. I don't think they're going to have 3,000 named characters in the show. That would be epic if they did. Hey, Rafe, if you could make that happen, dude, you will be the best.
Please don't. Please don't, actually.
I'm begging you to combine a small number of these together at least, or cut out ones that do not matter, or at least have them be somewhere else when they're introduced so that it's not like, oh, hey. Because again, like most of the characters in Wheel of Time, I will admit, do not have names that are actually terribly similar to each other. As far as like the main cast and like the main protagonists and whatnot, even the main antagonists don't really have that close in names. But there are so many like tertiary characters,
Yes,
or like
agreed.
one-off characters that are like innkeepers that have names that are very similar to other people that you care about,
Right.
Or like Aes Sedai, who are introduced for a little while and maybe or maybe not do something that's important, that are in the story for a book or two or whatever, and you're just like, Bobby, Robert, why you do this?
What I'm thinking, what I'm hearing, what I'm feeling in my jellies
I don't
now
want to ruin what that's
is
from
that
if people haven't seen it yet.
I feel it in my jellies. Okay.
I don't think you're ready for this jelly.
What I think. Well, if they haven't seen it, it's their movie. You're talking about a crime. Let's be honest, we're past the statute of limitations. You know, that's how I do. That's who I am. I'm a very intense person. That could have been the madness coming out. I'm going to blame the madness. It's either the madness or the rum.
Some movies are also crimes.
You're not wrong.
Like, the room. The room is a crime. It is a crime on everything that everyone holds dear. It's also, you know what else is a crime? It's a crime that we still play that movie anyway. It should have gone and died horribly many, many years ago.
You know, you're not. Yeah, I agree. What I was gonna say.
I'm pretty sure Josh just said like the most stereotypical excuse ever said in the Black Tower. It's got to be the madness or the rum.
The madness made me do it.
I'm just blame it on the alcohol.
Yeah,
or the madness.
We need that's two shirts we need now. It's either the madness or the rum.
A little something in the rum.
The madness made me do it. That's we need those.
I think that's got to be our our new call sign.
If Johnny Depp isn't in the TV show and at some point goes, oh, it's going to be the madness, or maybe the rum,
You know what? I agree. I
just stumbling around in the background of the Black Tower, just like, where's all the rum gone?
Yeah, no, I like it.
Shh, Johnny, we'll put something in your tea later. Shh.
Right, exactly.
Actually, somebody should design those. If somebody has ideas for a shirt that says it's got to be the madness, or it's either the madness or the rum, definitely send us design.
Well, you know what we could do? We could do a cafe press. You know, all of our listeners right now are listening to our business strategy meeting right now. If you'd like Black Tower merch, we can make that happen. So, but what you can do is
we probably have at least a handful of quotes at this point that are all shirt worthy.
Let's do it. I'm doing it.
Well, we use bruh.
I know. But point being, it's either the madness or the rum. But I you know what? I forgot the point that I was going to make way back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The madness.
It's the madness or the rum.
Well, I know that the point that I was going to be making, I was going to transition a little bit more smoothly than that, but I like that just, but Davram Bashere though. But my man Davram.
I am not a smooth person.
Davram Bashere's though? Davram Bashere's?
Davram's Bashere's is my jam.
And when he tackles that Lord Dragano?
It's my jams. It's my jams.
He done knocked his shiny stick down.
He knocks him. He's like, blap. And it's like, ugh.
And then when he threatens Perrin, though, and he's just all like, "Not my daughter."
You listen here, young man.
Dude, I tell you what, if somebody doesn't get Key and Peele to come back together just for the purposes of doing the valet guys for the Wheel of Time, I'm gonna be pissed.
Well, you know,
that's just what's happening.
Yep.
Wait, but Liam Neeson's though?
My face hurts.
Liam Neeson's though?
I love it.
Liam Neeson's is my jam.
Yeah, I'm so watching that after this. It's happening. Shout out to Key and Peele. You guys are the best. I know you read Wheel of Time. I know they listen. I know you listen.
And we know you're listening right now.
Right meow.
Indeed.
I'm going to need you to comment.
You don't reach out, I'm going to call you bitch.
I says, dragon. That's what Bashere did, though. He looked the Lord Dragon in the windows of his soul. And he said, dragon, you gonna kill us all with that there sword.
He said, mother's milking a cow.
Oh boy. Good times.
Oh, God.
Good times. You know what? You good times. You know, but
you know what, guys? I think we got to get back to my boy Bashere's.
You know what? He's good. The next pivotal moment in the series, I think. So you see him as a father, right? He's there intimidating the hell out of Perrin, which is just a beautiful moment. You see him now driving back the Shan-Chan, or the Sa-Chan army, as it were. You see him doing that. You see him just being just very loyal to Rand. And the next, like, real key sort of, I guess, story arc that you kind of see him in is real amazing. And that is his, pause for dramatic effect, the truce and or tentative peace that he brokers with the Shan-Chan. And I'm like, listen, he just got through being a part of the army that beat them, that pushed them back. And of course, they've got another foothold.
The victorious, unbeaten army of the Shan-Chan.
Quote, unbeaten, sure. But again, let's slap that on his resume. Beat the Shan-Chan, which, he had some help. But that's all generals do. They don't do it by themselves, silly. And then the very next move he makes is to broker a truce with the Shan-Chan. He's like, if we're going to do this, we need to be working with them. They're one of the most powerful military forces we've ever seen. And let's face it, we beat them. We got lucky when we beat them. We got lucky.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. And how much Rand trusts Bashere is just reinforced so much during this episode, during the whole brokering piece with the Shan-Chan, who the entire series up till now have been not the enemy, but like most wanted number 2.
Yeah.
Which actually, now that I say it, sounds disgusting because I'm juvenile. But anyway.
Number 2.
But I mean, Rand trusts Bashere to be like, you know what? Go speak to the daughter of the Nine Moons and tell her I want to meet with her. And he's like, fuck it. All right, I got you, bro. And he goes.
Yeah, he does. Not only does he go, but he's successful. Like, he's got this whole, succeed or die trying mentality, and he owns it. And he does good. He does good.
And he has enough know-how that in the first meeting, he's like, I think this is a trap.
Right.
Which, yeah.
How about
Because it's not till later that he gets to meet the real daughter of the Nine Moons.
Yeah. No, it's he's just that smart, and he's just that good. And he's successful. You know,
I have to admit, I mean, like, there is a little bit there. Like, again, Davram is incredible, and I do not want to take away from him at all. However, the fact that the daughter of the Nine Moons is very clearly, I don't know exactly the right word is to just say affected or being affected by an incredibly strong Taviran as well, who she doesn't know yet, but is going to be her husband. Does help. I'm certainly not saying that it's all Matt, but at the same time, I mean, like, she is not insignificantly influenced by the fact that Matt is all up in her mind. Because and that was he is a very powerful Taviran.
The freaking omens, man. The freaking omens.
Well, and that was the thing, is that when they come back to the land of their origin, you know, they come back to conquer it, they're not sure what they're going to run into, but immediately they run into some brash, you know, boorish young man who claims to be, you know, who initiates the wedding custom of the Shanshan. And she's like, well, excuse you, aren't you bold? And it's just like, it's like she's completely caught off guard. And, you know, so there's definitely, and that's what's it called in the storytelling mechanics of, you know, sort of that divine interference, the Deus ex machina, as it were, or as we call it in the Wheel of Time, the Taviran nature. You know? And it kind of happens, but you know, he's able to use, again, it goes back to, it doesn't matter what the tool is, it matters that you understand how the tool works and what tools you have at your disposal. And Davram is able to capitalize on that. And, you know, well, as best he can. I don't think anybody can capitalize on the trio of Taviran that are currently quite literally bending the world over and having their way with them. Apologies for the crass metaphor. But that just kind of seems to happen again and again, where one of the three will walk into a situation and immediately everything kind of bends to their will, and they were just like, yep, that's what I wanted to happen. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah, it stinks when you're just like a world and you're just trying to do what you're doing, and suddenly you're just like triple teamed by these Taviran that are just like in 3 different places on you. And then, of course, you also have these like minor Taviran who are running around of like Egwene and Nynaeve and Elaine and whatnot. And then they're just like also just like messing with you a little. I don't know. But honestly, it is again one of the incredible and impressive things that like while I was reading the books, I mean, it is described to you that there are these 3 men that are without a doubt Taviran. Yeah. And again, it is a little bit of that Deus Ex Machina and things that are going on. And then, of course, there are these 3 other people. Actually, there are more like 5 other people who the world definitely seems to bend to them at least a little. And you do really have this idea that, like, they're not just that awesome. I mean, like, there does have to be a little bit more going on. But, of course, it's never actually stated in the books that, like, Egwene or Aviendha or Elaine or any of them are actually Taviran. It's just, like, mildly suggested. And then there are guys like Davram Bashere. Davram Bashere and Gareth Bryn, who we've already talked about, and, Pedron Niall and all of the 5 captains are not Taviran. And they're very clearly and very specifically described as incredibly powerful people who take the world and bend it to their will without any Deus Ex Machina.
Yes.
And Bashere just proves that time and time and time again throughout these books, that he's just like, no, I am just so good that I'm basically a Ta'Veren.
I love that you specify that, because it's so true. They make it a point over and over and over again to show these guys as they're just normal guys. They're just that good. And I think that gives them a whole deeper element and or dimension of power that you just can't compete with. You just look at this and you just go, wow, these guys are, to me, it's reminiscent of, when you go to Rogue One, the Star Wars story, and you see a group of rebels fighting against the all-powerful Empire, and you're like, yeah, like we don't have Jedi, we don't have magic space wizards here to help us out. We got to do the best we can. And in many ways, you get a more capable character interaction.
I am one with the Force is with me. I am one with the Force is with me. I am one with the Force is with me.
Chirrut is definitely one of the most amazing characters of all time. He's probably my favorite, second only to Obi-Wan. But I digress.
Indeed. Anyway,
so after Davram
Bashere.
Yes, Davram Bashere. Hashtag Davram Bashere. After Davram Bashere brokers a truce with the daughter of the Nine Moons, he then moves on to his next big moment. What is his? I want to say he has something between that and Tarman Kaidan, but I cannot remember now.
Well, there's the he meets with Rand and the IL clan chiefs when Rand gives the order for the IL to capture the Council of Merchants.
That's what it is.
I believe he's the one that that lets Rand know that Malasar, Chadmar, and the rest of the Council of Merchants have been returned to their estates. And that's whenever he travels. Oh, after the Daughter of the Nine Moons and Tarmogoydan, the huge thing that fucking happens is he travels with Meridon to travels to Meridon with Nynaeve, sorry. And that's where they find that the city is on the brink of defeat to the Shadow Forces. And who else but Rodel Iturrade has been the one that's there trying to maintain defense of the city against the Trollocs. And he is alive with just a remnant of his men.
Yes.
This is the
moment where
isn't this the first time we get to see two great captains? Yeah. Isn't this the first time we get to see two great captains interact?
Correct.
Yes,
that is the first time. We've never actually seen any of the others together until Tarmogoydan. Tarmogoydan is where we see four of them working together and mildly interacting with each other, but even then, it's not even like a super direct interaction. This is the point where we actually see two great captains just in a lot of ways, just as themselves, just interacting with each other without any other like major turning point of the story going on around them.
Yes. And again, you get it really is a superhero team up. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's a superhero team up. Bashere and Iturralde, like, they overcome like ridiculous odds. If I'm not mistaken, Iturralde is like all but done when they catch up with him, right?
Oh yeah, he's like seconds from death. Maybe not seconds, but like he is. It is bearing down upon him, and the bomb is about to explode when Bashere shows up and barely makes sure that he doesn't die.
Right, and it's just like it's that again, borrowing from Tolkien here, it's that Helm's Deep moment where Iturralde his back is against the wall. He's fought one hell of a fight. And they're prepared to be like, all right, if we're going down, we're taking as many as we can with us. and then Bashere shows up and saves his skin. They're able to turn the tide of battle, turn it into a victory. I mean, as much as you can call it a victory. And they actually get a pretty big help from Rand as well, right? Because Rand comes in.
Correct. Yes.
He comes in, takes out a number of Trollocs, and they basically save Iturralde, and they're like, dude, you know what? That's the dragon right there. You guys are awesome. And that's kind of when they recruit him, and they're kind of like, yeah, you should join us. You should be us. And then Rodell's like super grateful. He's like, you guys are awesome. I like you. But we'll talk about that next episode. Now, it's not about Rodell. 2 episodes, whatever. Next episode in the Great Captain series. Ha.
Agreed. Yes.
From there,
man.
Now this is the best part. Again, this is where it gets interesting because, there's so much story leading up to Tarmangaiden. But again, it all converges so well. And Bashere is absolutely one of the great captains, and he's there at the last battle because where else would he be? But he's not at the I think it's one of the things I like about the last battle is that it's fought literally on like a global front, because the Shadow's like, no, we're going to send people everywhere, and even if you manage to defeat us in one place, we're going to raise the very existence of everywhere else on the map. So it is a full court press, if you'll allow the sports metaphor. And I think Bashere is in Caemlyn to defend against the Trolloc onslaught.
That's where he starts.
That's where he starts.
He does start in Caemlyn. He also ends up in a number of major cities, but ends up mostly sort of on the border between Andor and Carrion. Sort of making his way towards Carrion, but I don't think he really makes it there.
Right.
So, yeah. I also love how, again, there's this moment in the book I'm actually rereading right now, in Winter's Heart, where Elaine goes to meet with the forces from the Blight, the Borderlands. And there's this line that just sticks with me that's the Tarmangaiden will be fought in the Borderlands. And of course, it's not. I mean, it is. There's definitely fighting that's going on in the Borderlands, 100%. That is no question. But the fact that they're so much no. We're on the border of the Blight. We're the ones who are going to take the brunt of the fighting. We're the ones that everybody really needs to help. And then, of course, everybody's like, no, the fighting's going to be everywhere. Chill the fuck out. It's great when it turns out that the fighting is everywhere and everybody's fucked if they had just sent all of their resources to the Borderlands.
Right. Well, and I love, and again, that's one of those great captain moments where they're like, nope, we're not going to sit around. We don't believe that it's just going to be here. It's too easy. That's just too easy. That fruit is too low on the tree. There's got to be more to it. And they were able to prepare for it. And I really love that.
Andrew, you want to take us into the last battle here and the issues that we've had, with all of the great captains up until this point, except for Pedron because he was dead by now. The issues with the great captains.
Oh yeah. So they meet. He's at the field of Marilor. Elaine, of course, is setting up her initial war council,
and it's decided that as one of the great captains, Bashere will command the army sent to defeat the Trollocs in Camelin. And he uses gateways to fill many of the houses in Camelin with oil and then lights it, forcing Shadowspawn to leave and exit the walls. Bashere manages to convince Elaine to announce to her army that she is in fact carrying the Dragon Reborn's unborn babies, because he knows this will be a tremendous moral bolster to the forces. And it gives them something to fight for, which everybody needs, right?
Yes.
Yep. So under his command, his forces,
especially because up until
and
this point, they have pretty much exclusively thought that their daddy's a dark friend. Because Elaine pretty much made that a known thing by quietly pretending that it was the captain of her bodyguard, Melar, and everybody's a little disgusted with her because he's a piece of shit. But it does keep the babies safe until this point where she's like,
right.
Nah, they're Rand's. I got you.
Yes.
So his forces are able to lure the Trollocs into the Brigham Wood, and once inside, he uses guerrilla tactics to destroy the Trollocs, but his forces are pushed back because the Trollocs, big surprise, and we know why this happens, but the Trollocs are well adept to guerrilla tactics. Go figure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't say.
This is when Bashere then suggests crossing into Kyrian and turning about to make a stand with the city's walls at their backs. However, he failed to realize that the Fades leading the Trollocs army will push hard, splitting their force in two, sending one half to Kyrian, which was left without defenders in order to bolster the forces in Andor. So now he's faced with an army ahead of him and an army behind. He leads the army to try and destroy the northern force, threatening the city as quickly as possible before the southern force catches up. He exhausts the Chandlers from the kin with them, but the army succeeds in surrounding the northern force. However, the southern force catches up to them earlier than expected. Tam Althor, made one of the commanding officers of the army, accuses Bashere of betrayal, revealing that Bashere had forged the scouts reports in order to conceal the advancement of the southern force. The army is now in a trap and have no way to retreat by gateways. Bashere denies, the truth comes out, and Elaine is forced to condemn him as a dark friend, removing him from command.
Yep.
Now, of course, we find out later that Perrin reveals to everybody that this is actually Grendel that is using compulsion on all of the great captains.
Yep. He was not immune to that. He was still subject to that same compulsion. Like, as great as those guys were, Grendel was just that much better at worming her way in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to say that.
I mean,
all of them are so smart when it comes to battle and when it comes to tactics and when it comes to seeing through situations on a battlefield and like sort of out in the real world. But it is interesting that they all still have this Achilles heel, that none of them are actually truly capable of avoiding, one of the Forsaken coming to them basically like in their dreams.
Yeah.
Or like, quietly in the night and just being like, hey, I'm going to use the one power on you. And you're going to follow all of not like follow all of my orders, but you're just going to very quietly and under the radar get all of your forces in trouble right at the last minute every time.
Yeah.
And they're all just like, cool. Yeah. I have no idea that this is even happening. And when I wake up, I'm going to think everything's fine.
Yeah. And it's just, it's understanding your enemy. And I don't think that a lot of them had a lot of experience. We talked about Lord Agelmar, who, has tons of experience fighting against the Shadow Spawn and, even probably some skirmishes with Aiel. That's a completely different battle than fighting someone as subtle and as hidden and as brilliant as Grendel was. I mean, it's just, how do you fight against something you completely do not understand at all? And
well, and it's also kind of funny because when you think about it, there are 5 great captains, and where are they from? I mean, they get this sort of title and whatnot from being incredibly good in battle. So of course you have 2 Borderlanders who are so used to just taking things head on. And when the Trollocs come and attack, they don't play Deus Del Mar. They play how fast can I beat the shit out of you and your men and your walls. Exactly. And then of course there's Garrett Bryn, who is known as an incredibly honest and upfront person. And even though he is not unversed in, you know, the game of houses and undercurrents and things like that, he chooses to see the world as, you know, as black and white as possible, and tries to act on the world as black and white as possible. And then you have, you know, Iturralde, who presumably is a little bit also knowing of the world and the way it works, and the fact that there are all these undercurrents and all of these games that are being played and whatnot. But again, he is also from somewhere where that is not as much of a daily life kind of thing as anywhere else. And then of course the last one, who would be the one person who would probably be able to see through all of this and like actually make it, you know, past all of this maneuvering and grossities and whatnot, is Pedron. He has spent his entire life doing that, and he's dead. He's totally dead by the time that this happens. So, like, the one person who's actually well-versed in this is the one person who doesn't make it to the point of being compulsed. And you're just like, oh, great. All of you are naive sons of bitches when it comes to this stuff.
Well, and the funny thing is we even talked about in Pedron's episode, we talked about how he squeezes everything through that filter of the Children of the Light, and how it just... oh, it's just so painful because it limits him in so many ways. But this would have been his battle right here. This would have been the perfect way. This is what he was defending against. He was like, nope, I'm not going to let those Tar Valon witches, you know, ensnare my senses. But, you know, he was, like you said, he was dead by the time they even got to that point.
Yeah.
So Bashere defends Caemlyn, he defends Carrion, and he actually ends up in Marilor with Lan.
Yes, he does.
Am I recalling
and
that
while
correctly?
He is not actually commanding troops at that point,
he's still like, no, fuck this, I'm going to fight.
A foot soldier, and he is... right, and he is still very good. I mean, like, as one of the great captains, he also is one of the better people as far as just battlefield prowess. And so him fighting at the fields of Marilor is definitely a boon, even if he's not giving orders. And while, spoiler alert, he does end up going down along with his wife, he takes... I mean, this is a Lord of the Rings Helm Deep, like, you know, he takes hundreds of orcs, hundreds of Trollocs and Shadowspawn and whatnot down with him before he does end up succumbing to the numbers and the, you know, problems that he has going on in his own head and whatnot.
Well, and let's talk about, you know, you want to talk about badass women getting some representation. He literally marches to a battle. I mean, he's already been broken, right? He's like, I've been broken, but I'm not done. I'm going to this. And Grendal's already broke him, you know, already pushed him to the brink. And he's like, okay, you know what? I'm not done. You know what? I can still fight. I can still hold a sword. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to I'm going to go to Marilor, and I'm going to fight until I have no breath left. And his wife looks him dead in the eyes and goes, well, whose car are we taking? Like, she was like, I'm not leaving you. She was like, I'm here. We're in this together. And don't you even think about going without me. And, you know, as you learn throughout the series, you know, the whole, you know, there's a very like dom sub switch sort of dynamic when it comes to Saldean women, and there are some times where they want to be told what to do. And there are other times where you better not tell me what I'm going to do. And as a Saldean man, you have to understand which one they want, which, is kind of like real life, right? Because when you're hanging out with your SO, you got to know what they want, when they want it, how they want it. But you can't always do that. So sometimes it doesn't work out. But in this case, Davram understood very, very clearly that Maiden was coming with him. She's coming with him.
Yeah,
she's going to take care of this with him
at that point.
And he was like, I would be
And of course,
honored.
in the end, right? And one of the nice things, I mean, like, obviously on one hand, you wish both of them survived. Just because they're really good characters that you know and love. However, on the other hand, I am really good that one of them doesn't make it out, because that would be really heart-wrenching. So the fact that, they both end up losing their lives on the field of battle is in and of itself very sad, especially since I think that it's clear to see at this point that all of us are definitely Davram fans. But man, would it have been rough to go ahead and have like Davram make it out, or his wife, but not both.
Yeah. No, I think
so. I am a little bit glad that is what ends up happening.
Well, and I think they ran into that situation fully expecting that outcome. I think it was one of those like,
no, without a doubt,
we're done. And you know what, Shadow, you got me.
As you mentioned earlier, right? It's the moment where, Vin Diesel just grabs the hand of, I can't remember the actress's name, and they just drive as quickly and as directly into oncoming traffic. And they know it's not going to happen, but it's the ride or die moment. And in this case, it's ride then die.
Right then die. So, I love that sort of a trope when you start talking about a storytelling. It's one of the reasons why I love, the old stories of like the old Vikings and things like that, is they look at the situation head on and they go, I'm probably going to die. You know what though? It's worth it. I'm going to run in, I'm going to do this. And it'll be those that come after me that reap the fruits of these labors. And I just love that so much. And I can't.
You gotta love Viking culture, because their whole thing is, well, when I die, it'll probably be in battle, so it'll be an honorable, glorious death. So I'll go to Valhalla, where we will feast and drink until we are drunk and fat, and then we'll fight to burn off the calories. When I die, I'll show back up in the hall, and I'll eat and drink until I'm ready to go fucking fight again.
Exactly.
Like, you know what? That's a if you could choose, like, if the way religion worked was you could choose which one you wanted to follow, which obviously you can, but that was whatever one happened to you at the end of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be hard pressed to not choose Valhalla.
Well, and one of my favorite
respawns, man. Infinite respawns.
Hashtag gamer heaven. No, but one of the things I love is summed up best in the 13th Warrior when he says, the All-Father wove the skein of your life centuries ago. Go and hide in a hole if you wish, but it will profit you nothing. You will the day of your death is determined. And I love that, Bashere might not have been like, my death is determined anyway, it doesn't matter. But I definitely know he was like, we got a job to do. And if I die, so be it. But I'm not going to live in a world in which we lose. So we're either going to win or I'm going to die trying. And as you were saying earlier, Daniel, that he just hundreds of Trollocs, and he just mowed through them all like the extreme badass that he is.
Yeah, he really did. Bashere, the thing I love the most about Bashere is we don't just get to hear about his past heroics that have made him the great captain. A lot of the same we get with Brian, and even to a degree Agomar and Iterade. But to me, it shows the best with Bashere.
Yeah.
is because we get to see him stick with Rand throughout the entire story. He is, like you said earlier, Josh, he is the one that we get to see the most from, as far as the five great captains are concerned. And it really, I think, makes you love the character even more, and appreciate what it means to be a great captain. So you got these four other guys that share the title, but you have someone like Bashere that shows you what it really takes to earn the kind of title of a great captain. And if you can translate that over into the other great captains, I think that makes you enjoy the characters all the more. I still like Pedro Nail. I think, obviously he, for me, didn't do much.
Yeah.
He's a plot device more than anything else. But I think that shows as much with people as anyone else. As sometimes you earn a title and your career maintains or soars even higher, and sometimes that's your highest point, and from then on you kind of go on a downhill. It's the thing that's, I think, so many people love about The Wheel of Time is character progression and character lives are realistic. Not everybody lives happily ever after. The strongest people don't always live. The weakest people don't always die. And the people you hate, there's some people that that readers can't stand, that we still don't know for a fact that they're alive or dead.
It's true.
So, I mean,
and that's actually
there's
one
things
of the
about
things,
the series that we don't know.
Right. And that's actually one of the things that I think that, to be fair, George R.R. Martin also did very well in his books in some ways. I mean, like, I definitely think that Robert Jordan does a better job with it in terms of he actually does seem to have more of a sense of, giving the audience a little bit more of what they want, where there are more happy endings. There are more moments of light in the darkness. Whereas in Game of Thrones or in A Song of Ice and Fire, there really is a whole lot of just like taking the readers and just dunking them in barrels of water until they can't fucking breathe. But it is true that both of them wrote pretty realistic characters and stories in terms of the fact that, again, that trope of, good always winning over evil and bad people always getting their comeuppance and whatnot, that doesn't always happen. And there are characters that people don't like aspects of that never change. And there are characters that people love certain aspects of that get changed later on because of the circumstances that they're in and the stories that they go through and whatnot. And again, one of the reasons that I just love Wheel of Time so much is that all of the characters feel like people I could know. And they feel like people who were plucked out of life and placed in a book, not the other way around. And it's so amazing the way that it's written in terms of the fact that, again, there are times when good people get shit on. Not quite as bad as I said, A Song of Ice and Fire. And there are times when bad people get a win and it sucks and you hate reading it because you're like, I don't want this person to win. I don't want them to get good things. But they do. They absolutely do, because that's the world. Sometimes Donald Trump gets elected to the presidency. And you just stand there and you go, wait, what? How did this happen? Like, even if you don't think that he's a bad person, like, how did that happen? And there are some times when, when Pedro Nial gets killed, even though he could absolutely be a good person and be such a good redemption story, he never gets that chance because he just dies before he ever gets it. And that's just so real.
On the Trump thing, people said the same thing about Reagan. How did an actor become president?
It's true.
Oh, no, I agree. And again, it just goes to show you that surprises happen.
He's not the only one. No, there were others. No.
What was it? Back to the Future. Who's the president in your time? Ronald Reagan. The actor? Classic callback.
Family Guy. I know they did it in Family Guy, and like Brian the dog, he looks at Peter, he's like, Peter, you're the one from the future. You should know that.
Right.
But,
man.
Oh, good times.
Anyway,
well,
This has been an absolutely fantastically enjoyable episode. Hilarious.
It has.
We might be a little
indeed.
biased, 'cause as you guys know, we did miss last week.
We did.
Yes.
We were all busy schedule wise, and there was just no avoiding it. We gave everybody as much notice as we could on Twitter as soon as possible. And as far as I saw, I didn't see any flack from it. I imagine most people understood because, to my knowledge, last week is the first week since the founding of the Black Tower podcast that we have ever missed a weekly episode.
Man.
It's kind of bittersweet, but I'll take the badge of honor because I know there's nothing wrong with having to take a break or taking a week off and missing a week. I know it sucks for the listeners, but everybody deserves to have some time off. And having the week off, as much as I miss talking about the Wheel of Time and talking at least this long with you two, it was still nice to have a week where I didn't have to worry about, do I have the episode edited? Does it sound right? Everybody's audio as equal as I can. Oh, excuse me. But yes,
I'll take it. And you know what? It gives us a perfect example, a perfect segue to say that, we're back in black. Yeah, that's right.
And it really hurt. And I wish I could go back.
Yes, let loose.
Oh man.
From the news. Yeah, I went there.
I heard it.
So
I don't know
thanks.
if those were actually words, but I did hear it.
No. Well, it's again, what is it? The madness of the rum. You'll never know. Thank you for
6 and 1/2
joining
dozen
us.
of the other.
Thank you for joining us this evening with the Black
On
Tower
the-
podcast. You guys are awesome. Davram Bashere is awesome. Be awesome to each other. Be a great captain.
Bashir.
Daddy Bashere. I like it.
Daddy Bashir.
Yep, I like it.
Daddy Bashir.
Daddy.
The only person I'll call daddy is Davram Bashir.
I'm pretty sure that we've called at least a couple of the great captains daddy.
Yeah,
I'm
at
like
least they're all great
99.9% sure
I
that
mean-
2 weeks ago we called Ingtar, or 3 weeks ago, whatever. No, 2 weeks ago we called
Brian.
Ingtar Daddy Ingtar.
Brian,
So
Brian we called him
Brian is
Grandpa.
Grandpa, yeah. We called him Grandpa today, yeah.
yes.
Brian is Grandpa, which makes Suwon Grandma by extension, obviously.
Pappy Bryn.
Pappy Brand. He
Grandpa
done led that Aes Sedai revolution there. You know what I mean? It's good. All right. You guys are awesome. Thanks for tuning in. We gave you an extra long episode as by way of missing out of last week. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like us.
Indeed.
Validate me.
Please. Your approval validates my existence. Please tell me you love me. Do you love me? Do you want to play your love games with me?
Be sure to join us on Podbean. We also have our channel on YouTube. And for those of you who would like to show us an extra measure of gratitude, we do have a Patreon as well. The Patreon goes to support the channel, goes to pay for our monthly expenses. And plus as a patron, you get access to all of the extra juice, the extra goodness, the extra flavor. So sign in, join up, leave a comment, like, subscribe, all the goodness. Hit us up on Twitter and be like, hey, I listened to your show. And then we'll be like, you must be a cool person. That's just how it is.
And if you're one of those that's looked at Patreon
Smash
and you supporting
that bell button.
Yeah.
if you're one of those that's looked at Patreon to see what we have to offer thus far, and you've said, you know what, I want to, but I won't really get anything out of it, or you have an idea of something that we could add to the Patreon that would make it more appealing, whatever the case is, of course, reach out to us. We're here. We love to hear from you guys. You can reach us at the Discord, the email, the Twitter, the whatever have you. Of course, all links are at that wonderful blacktowerpod.podbean.com. let us know. If
Indeed.
what you're looking for is not there, let us know, and we will do what we can to put what you want there.
Yeah, certainly not
Exactly.
saying that we are our listeners' bitches, but at the same time, I mean, we do this for you. We do this absolutely for you. I mean, I love talking to
Exactly.
these guys, so I probably would anyway. But at the same time, the show is for you guys. So if there's something that we are doing or that we're not doing that you want us to be doing or want us to not be doing, please let us know. Because not to pat ourselves on the back or anything, we want to make this show for you guys, and we want to do what you guys overall want. And so as long as it's not, completely show breaking or, podcast breaking, we would love to hear from you guys and hear what you guys think is important.
I will not
So.
be your bitch, but I will be your good time night gal.
I'll be your bitch.
Boom.
Oh, all right.
Oh, cut that out. Get that
Welcome
in post.
to the new $100 level of Patreon. Get Josh for one night only.
And that's all I have to say about
I've already-
that. That's
guys,
it. I'm done.
guys,
Sad
I've
part
already-
is I don't think that is
I've already got
against
3
Patreon.
wives. Guys, I've already got 3 wives. We
I've
can't
peaked.
make a Patreon
How about a husband to
category
help
for
you
me.
with
I
them
don't
wives?
think they would be okay with that. So, Josh, if you want to go ahead and put yourself out there,
Oh.
have fun. I don't think I can.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Again, thank you for listening. As always, I have been Andrew.
I have been Daniel.
I have been Josh.
Yeah, and we will see you all again next week for the Path of Daggers book review.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.